Ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty amazing story. Cheney in trouble, 70%, 77%, not 70%, 77% of GOP would not re-elect, 53% call her liberal. Now, this is in Wyoming, okay, a red state. Kinzinger will probably have the same issue in Illinois. Both voted alongside President Trump over 90% of the time, okay? Think about that for a second. According to 538, tracking Congress in the age of Trump, you can look. It's a website or it's a link to the website that tracks the votes for people in Congress and how they align with President Trump's position. You would think that Cheney and Kinzinger would be opposed to President Trump. See, they give their public relations persona, their image, their fabricated, marketed, image is that they stand up to President Trump and they tracking Congress in the age of Trump right here. That they are the good Republicans. Don't you understand? They're the good Republicans. Do you want to know how often Adam Kinzinger voted in line with President Trump? How about 90.2% of the time? How about 90.2% of the time? And it's really interesting because you have votes here, ladies and gentlemen, where just like you would think that he would refrain from giving Trump the authority to engage in military or other types of national security endeavors. No, he voted alongside President Trump. And he opposed Democrats and sided with Trump most of the time. So it's like, what is the true, in Congress, and Cheney too. Cheney was 92% of the time. 92% of the time. Over 92% of the time. President Trump, over 92% of the time, Cheney voted for President Trump. Voted alongside President Trump. Okay? Think about that for a second. And opposing President Trump's withdrawal of Americans, okay? He voted yes to oppose Americans from what I'm reading here. He voted yes to withdraw. He voted yes to stop President Trump from withdrawing Americans. Resolution in Congress opposing the decision to end U.S. efforts to prevent. Okay, so what President Trump, he began removal of Americans from that region of the world. Kinzinger opposed it. This is before the negotiated deal. And now you have people saying, you know what? We've had enough. Trump has primaried these people out of political office. The 538 link will be below. Check it out. Look at all the times that, so Kinzinger opposed Trump on withdrawing Americans. Does that make any sense to you? He opposed Trump on withdrawing Americans from a certain region of the world. Does that make any? This is before the negotiated deal last year to withdraw Americans finally from our longest-running counterinsurgency conflict. Does that make any sense to you that Kinzinger would oppose President Trump? Well, he sided with the Democratic Party on that. That's why he doesn't have the populist foreign policy that Trump has. which is why he'll likely be primaried out. He's in Illinois, but Cheney for sure will be primaried out of political office. They don't care because they're making a boatload of money after their political career anyway. That's what this is all about. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. There are 2 viewers I'd like to thank. Awake Canadian, as always, thank you so very much for the super thanks last segment. Awake Canadian, thank you. And to a new Patreon, USA Kicks Behind, thank you so very, very much. And thank you very much for the message as well. I want to just thank you so very much for being a Patreon member and for the kind message. Thank you. Awake Canadian, thank you again. As always, if you want to support this channel and my work, my super thanks button is right next to the like button and the share button below the video. To the right of the like button and the share button, it's kind of like super chat for the uploads. I will go ahead and thank you next segment. If you'd like to buy me a cup of coffee or just contribute and support the channel, it would be greatly, greatly appreciated. The super thanks button is right there next to the share button. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding. I'm not like Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger, who will write a book after Congress. After they're primaried out, they'll write a book. They'll be a contributor at CNN, MSNBC. I could have been a contributor at a whole bunch of those publications or cable stations if I switched and said, oh yes, Trump is so mean, he's so orange, and although they couldn't find anything in his tax returns in New York, the prosecutors found absolutely nothing. They just went after people he worked with, for him allegedly, because he allegedly paid for their grandkids' tuition. Congress now, the Department of Justice, has authorized Congress to obtain his tax returns, which will be another absurd. These are not only are these Democratic people in Congress not accountants, they're running absurd rackets and schemes of their own. They couldn't find anything with Trump and his tax. They literally couldn't find anything. The New York prosecutors have had his tax return since February. But anyway, that's another story. I mean, the double standard is unbelievable. They didn't audit anything to do with Madam Secretary, foundation, nothing. But they want to go after Trump's tax returns. They found nothing in New York, so yet again, they want to extract every ounce of political utility. But ladies and gentlemen, I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some wonderful, morally superior democratic socialists who are now experiencing a discrimination case of their own, by the way, nobody's talking about. Anyway, if you do want to support the channel via super thanks, that would be greatly appreciated. I will thank you in the next segment. Go to 538, and that's the only thing I can tell you right now. Nobody's really talking about this. The link is below. So he opposed troop withdrawal initially when President Trump began the process. That should tell you something. And he basically backed President Trump on every major topic. On almost every major topic. And then you have in 2020, pretty much almost every major topic. And so you have this situation, ladies and gentlemen, where it's just public relations. They're going to get primaried out. Liz Cheney, same thing. Liz Cheney voted alongside Trump. She was even more loyal to Trump. And that should tell you how this fake and phony and fabricated public relations stunt of opposing Trump if you're a Republican, it should tell you what that's all about. hit subscribe right now to this channel. She voted alongside Trump 92.9% of the time. Hit subscribe right now. I should have a live stream later this evening, but I'll have a bunch of uploads before.